Open the safe and 12 trillion credits are yours, joked the alien consul. The poor girl surprised him. The Galactic Consortium's embassy on Earth gleamed like a crystalline monument to impossible wealth. Stella stood in its shadow, her worn shoes contrasting sharply against the polished marble steps. She clutched a data pad containing her credentials, a degree in applied mathematics from a community college, 3 years of odd jobs, and a recommendation letter from a professor who believed in lost causes. The receptionist, a being with iridescent scales and too many eyes, barely glanced at her before waving her through. Stella's heart hammered as she navigated corridors that seemed to bend space itself, finally arriving at the office of Consul Varthix. The alien was massive, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming purple-black under the soft lights. Her arms gestured expressively as he spoke into a communication device in a language that sounded like singing crystals. When he noticed Stella, his compound eyes fixed on her with what might have been amusement. "Ah, the human applicant," Varthix said, his translator rendering his words in perfect English. "You wish to work in our financial division?" "Yes, Consul," Stella replied, straightening her thrift store blazer. "I know I don't have experience with off-world currencies, but I'm a fast learner," and Varthix's mandibles clicked in what the translator interpreted as laughter. "Fast learner. How charmingly human." He gestured to a corner of his office where an enormous vault stood, its surface covered in glowing alien glyphs that shifted and reorganized themselves in patterns that hurt to watch for too long. "Tell me, Stella of Earth, do you know what that is?" "A safe. The quantum cipher vault," Varthix corrected. "Inside are the access codes to the consortium's reserve funds. 12 trillion credits. Enough to buy solar systems. Plural." He leaned back in his chair, which accommodated his bulk with silent efficiency. "It's protected by a mathematical lock so complex that our greatest minds spent centuries designing it. The combination changes every nanosecond based on quantum probability algorithms." Stella stared at the vault, her mathematician's mind already trying to parse the patterns in the glyphs. "Open the safe," Varthix continued, his tone dripping with condescension, "and 12 trillion credits are yours." He clicked his mandibles again. A jest, of course. No one can open it. Not without the biometric authorization of the 3 highest members of the consortium's financial committee, all of whom are currently 17 light years away. "Why have it here, then?" Stella asked. "Symbolic purposes. Also, it's literally impossible to move. The vault exists partially out of phase with normal spacetime." Varthix shuffled through data pads on his desk. "Now, about your application. I'm afraid we have no positions available for someone of your limited qualifications. Perhaps you could try the sanitation department." The dismissal stung, but Stella had grown used to closed doors. She nodded, turning to leave. But something made her pause. She looked back at the vault, at those shifting patterns. "May I examine it?" she asked. "Just for a moment?" Varthix's eyes gleamed with cruel amusement. "By all means. Perhaps you'll be the first human to crack a cipher that has baffled the galaxy's finest for millennia." Stella approached the vault, her fingers hovering over the glowing surface. The patterns weren't random, they couldn't be. Mathematics was universal. She pulled out her battered data pad and began sketching the sequences she observed. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Varthix had returned to his work, occasionally glancing at the human with what might have been pity. Stella remained motionless, her eyes tracking patterns, her mind racing through equations. Then she saw it. The patterns weren't based on quantum probability at all, or rather, they were, but they were using a human mathematical framework that the consortium had discovered in Earth's academic databases and incorporated as an ironic joke. The designers assumed no human would ever stand before this vault. They'd used fractal geometry combined with prime number sequences based on the Fibonacci spiral, concepts that appeared in human art, architecture, and nature itself. "It's beautiful," Stella whispered. Her fingers moved across the glowing surface, not touching, just following the patterns. She began to hum, a simple melody, translating the mathematical sequences into music, another universal language. Varthix's head snapped up. "What are you doing?" Stella didn't answer. She pressed specific glyphs in a sequence that felt as natural as breathing. The vault's surface rippled. The glowing patterns froze, then slowly began to align. "Stop!" Varthix surged from his chair. "That's impossible. You can't." A sound like 1,000 harmonizing bells filled the office. The vault door, which hadn't opened in 600 standard years, clicked. A hairline crack of light appeared along its edge. Silenced, Varthix stood frozen, all four arms suspended mid-gesture. Stella stepped back, her hands shaking. I didn't actually open it, she said quickly. I found the pattern. The sequence. I would need to input the final command to, you solved the quantum cipher. Varthix's voice was barely a whisper. In under 2 hours. With a primitive data pad and no reference materials. It's based on human mathematical principles, Stella explained. The Fibonacci sequence, fractal recursion, harmonic resonance. I recognized it because I wrote my thesis on the intersection of mathematics and music in 12 trillion credits. Varthix interrupted, sinking back into his chair. I was joking. It was a jest. A cruel joke about human inadequacy. I don't want the credits, Stella said. I just wanted a job. The consul stared at her for a long moment. Then he began to laugh, a genuine sound that needed no translator. A job. The human who just demonstrated capabilities that might make her the most valuable financial asset in 3 sectors wants a job. He pulled out a data pad, his claws moving rapidly across its surface. Stella of Earth, Varthix said formally. I am offering you the position of senior quantum financial analyst, with a starting salary of 50,000 credits annually, full benefits, and a signing bonus. He paused. Also, I would very much appreciate it if you would teach our brightest minds how you did that. Stella's eyes widened. The singing bonus? Signing, Varthix corrected, but his mandibles clicked with humor. Though given your method, perhaps singing is more appropriate. As Stella left the embassy that evening with her new employment contract, Cameron, her boyfriend, met her at the entrance. He'd been waiting in the nearby park, ready to comfort her if the interview went badly. How did it go? He asked anxiously. Stella looked up at the stars beginning to appear in Earth's twilight sky and smiled. I think, she said, I just taught the galaxy why you should never underestimate a human with a dream and a calculator. That's my girl. Cameron laughed, pulling her close. So, did you get the job? Better, Stella replied. I proved something my professor always told me. Mathematics is the universe's native language. And sometimes, humans speak it better than anyone expects.